I've seen a lot of you talking about the new capstone engine, and today I want to make a quick video talking about what it means for your Everest build. Hey everyone, Derpy here, welcome back to another Battle Parts video. This is a limited engine, and to keep it short, it is very similar to all the other tier 9 engines in that it has fairly good combat speed, some evade, a tiny bit of survival, but the important part that's different is that it does have plus 40% projectile speed, which is the reason you're going to want to use this. I'm going to go ahead and take you into my shipyard, show you some of my ships and the changes I'm planning to make. I want to explain it so you know how to do it rather than just copying what I'm doing. Now this is my current Cloudbreaker Everest build. It is set up as an anti-mortar setup. This means projectile speed is crucially important. Before we look at anything, let's look at the projectile speed on this hull. As you can see, it is at 238%, which is a healthy minimum for something that works effectively in this target. Now let's go ahead and talk about what this special stacks with. It is limited, and I would make sure you use all 5 because you need to have the same combat speed across all your ships to work fairly well. And this doesn't stack with a few things. It does not stack with high velocity rounds at 110 projectile speed. As you can see, that is grayed out, so you can't use that. Now interestingly, you can use high yield warheads, but we'll come back to that later. You can also stack it with the Ascension mortar system with 90% projectile speed, but you cannot stack with the Explosive System 4, which gives 43% at least at R15 projectile speed. There's a few things it does stack with the Ascension mortar system, which is the one they want us to use, but not with Explosive Shells 4 and not with high velocity rounds. So a few interesting things. I'm going to go ahead and stack the capstone with the Ascension mortar system because that's one that works pretty well here, and that's getting projectile speed up fairly high. Now, I mentioned 238 projectile speed as a fairly low number. We're only at 160 right now, so we need to do a few more things to bring it up. One of those is to put on the subaquatic propellant. This is one that I am using on my main ship, and this is only for the projectile speed bonus. The countermeasure reload does not apply to the ship here, and obviously the cloak time does not. And then we can also throw in, as the 4th special here to get projectile speed up a little bit higher, we can put on the other one that I did have focused on, which is the high yield warheads, which is interesting, and that's only on here for the plus 30% projectile speed. This built-in damage does mean it does not stack with, say, K2, which is completely fine, as this flag is going to be built as a countermeasure setup, not one for doing damage. So projectile speed is up to 215%. If we add on Hyper 30, a few other things, you can see that 5 out of 6 specials here are dedicated to the projectile speed, which is really important here. So we were at 238% before, and now we're up to 245% projectile speed. That's a watch really. The important thing is that the move speed is about 10 higher. Before we were at about 71, 72. Now we're up to about 80. Let me show you my complete Cloudbreaker build right now. So as a reminder, this is the current one that I'm using. As you can see, refit time is 0, pretty much set up as an anti-ship. Now, if we go ahead and change to the new Cloudbreaker version that I'm using, it gets up to this change. It is 1.5 day time, so maybe I have some extra tokens I can use on this or just sit it in the shipyard for now. Projectile speed is up higher, but the important part is the move speed is up higher as well. You do lose some building damage and some mortar reload on this one, but that really is not important, as again, the main focus here is 6 scales. By the way, 6 scales because anti-mortars are the most important thing for projectile speed. Anti-missiles, not really that important in these targets because they only shoot once at each incoming projectile. That's a pretty important thing here, and this will be my Cloudbreaker Everest build, and I'll try and put the hash code in the comments, YouTube description, in that build document I have there. Now let's go over the Everest build and how that changes. This one is a lot simpler. This is my current Everest build right here using all the 6 armor, and I'm going to just go ahead and change the engine, not change that from RFX. So you do lose the explosive reload there, 50%. That is not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, and reload isn't really important in these targets. It's more that initial damage you can do to take down those turrets in 1 or so volley. Now, I'm going to go ahead and load up the change I have here, which is my new Everest, and this has the engine updated, and then because you do that and the engine's a lot lighter for this one, you can go ahead and fit on another mortar. This does increase your projectile speed up to 170% from 130%, so that should make your mortars and your antis just that tiny bit more effective. That is again a fairly short build time. Maybe you have some 12-hour tokens that are being given out that you can make these. Just try and make sure you make the changes all at once because you are changing the combat speed. So it's pretty important to keep that the same across all your ships. Now, I have dropped off to 4 missile defense system 3 on the entire fleet, but that should still be able to counter salvo of 10 times 4 across the fleet, 40 incoming missiles at the same time, which I'm fairly sure is less than our attackingness at once. So this is my plan for the Everest build here. If you have questions on the math of this thing, something that you are wondering about or that I'm doing differently than you, go ahead and leave a comment below and I'll make sure to get back to you. If you have any other questions, make sure you ask them. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you don't, dislike. And as always, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.